Gary, you and I debated this a number of years ago about players coming out of entry levels when the CBA was changed from being unrestricted at 31 to 27. We've seen the Johansson situation get solved. We're seeing young guys coming out of their entry levels hitting home runs. I know it doesn't matter because it's a hard cap anyway, and you can only spend so much money. But any thoughts in the league about these young guys coming out and all of a sudden, even after the entry level, the opportunity that even within 1 or 2 years are unrestricted free agents and teams paying a big price for that?
Your success or not in our system is largely dependent on the judgments you make as to what talent you bring together, what talent you recruit and keep and develop, and how much you spend. Typically, in cap systems, the trade-off for the cap is more liberal free agency. Mm-hmm. If the players ever decided they wanted less liberal free agency, that's something we'd always be happy to talk about. It's nothing we would necessarily have an objection to, but that's really a question of how the players want to see the money that's going to be guaranteed to the players as a whole gets distributed. It doesn't mean that they have carte blanche to make those allocations in terms of how the collective bargaining agreement works, but we're comfortable with that it's within a range that enables our clubs to manage themselves in an appropriate way. And the system has worked pretty well in that regard. Yes, you're going to have some clubs that make bad decisions, but that can happen with an older player as well.
You like parity. We all like to see new teams in the playoffs, but do you have a number that you like to see in the ebb and the flow of the game of the 16 teams that make the playoffs, the 14 teams that miss and intersperse?
I don't have a number that's hard and fast. I like to look at the trending overall. You don't like to see a team go for a decade without making a playoff, just to give one hypothetical example. I think in the last couple of years, I may be a little off on this, we've had 30% of the clubs switch between who's in the playoffs and who's out. 5 clubs, I think, made it this last season that didn't make it the year before. That seems to be a good mix. And so we want to make sure that everybody's kind of in the hunt on a regular basis. And that's not something you put a slide rule to, remember what those are, or a computer. You just kind of like look at it and see if it feels right.
Gary Bettman, off to L.A. to watch the banner raising.
Yes.
We've got this great warm, fuzzy feeling amongst the four of us now. I'm not going to ruin it by asking you what the heck's going on in Phoenix, am I?
No, don't do that.
You can ask me anything. It doesn't mean I'll answer it. No, there's been some speculation that on an unsolicited basis, somebody or somebodies have come to the franchise and said, we would like to join your ownership group and make it stronger. And that's the speculation, but if that in fact is the truth, that bodes extraordinarily well for what's going on in Arizona, because it shows that the team would be making great strides and that there is interest by more people in being a part of it on an ownership level. So I know when there's no confirmation and it's all speculation, it can be made to sound like it's something bad, but if it were true, it could be something that was very good.
I just looked at some numbers on the weekend, and they can't be accurate. It said that they paid the NHL $170 million for the Phoenix franchise, and today their debt is $204 million. Are those numbers? I can understand why they'd maybe looking for investors if those numbers are accurate.
I don't think those numbers are accurate at all. But, there's a lot of reporting on the business of franchises, on the state of franchises that's been accurate. If you think back a year and a half ago, we had all sorts of franchises that were alleged to be in trouble, and then in a 6-week period, we had 3 franchises that were supposedly in trouble all get sold to new owners and are in much stronger and better shape than they've ever been. I think particularly when there are stories like that, the attention is much better focused. And I'm not addressing this to you guys necessarily, but what's going on the ice is so good and so compelling. People don't need to worry about who owns and what they own and what's getting sold. That's all secondary. The franchises as a whole have never been healthier and more stable than they are now.
And what's really critical in this situation is now that I'm drawing my NHL pension, I can't have any of my former teams go bankrupt.
Go
bankrupt.
I think they're not going bankrupt. It's not an issue. Except I think we've inserted a new provision that is, if you speak ill of the league or the officials, you can forfeit your pension.
It's always back to Doug McLean.
I haven't got an opportunity to thank you for that, but
he's going to go out and buy pom-poms right now. Enjoy your trip to L.A. and that banner raising.
Just so there's no confusion, my tongue was firmly in my cheek when I said that.
Thanks for doing this, and have a great season.
Thanks. Great to be with you guys, and I'll see you again soon.